Okay, today we're going to make a nice bit of fillet of pork cooked in bacon with a tarragon and mushroom sauce. And all I'm doing now is laying down nice streaky bacon, edge over edge, with the fat poking out the bottom, if that makes sense. So if you're doing it from the left hand side, you want your fat on the right hand side and just overlap it. Okay, that's the bacon laid out. So what we're going to do now is take our fillet of pork, which I've cleaned, pop it on there, then take a long knife, pop it under the bacon and start to sort of ease it up. There we go. Once you've done that, roll it as tightly as you can. I mean, the bacon's going to shrink anyway. If you've got access to it, pancetta works even better, but I didn't, so there we go. That's essentially all you need. Now we're going to cover this in lots and lots of fresh pepper. No salt, because obviously you've got salt in your bacon, but lots of pepper. Just gives it a bit of character. And bacon loves pepper. So do I. There we go. Good sprinkle all over. Okay, now to start the pork off, putting a little bit of oil in the pan. Now, you've got a seam on the underneath at the top of your bacon. You want to put that down first so that it kind of seals it and makes it glue. Now we're not cooking it in the pan. What we're doing is just getting a nice sort of seal and texture to the outside of the bacon, because it's not going to go in a really hot oven for a long time. So we want a bit of texture in the pan. Okay, that's been about 2 minutes. So I'm just going to turn it 90 degrees and let this seal as well. There we go, turn it another 90 degrees. Can you see how it's kind of sealed onto itself? That's why you don't have to put all the sticks and string in that. Bacon contracts into itself anyway. So we'll seal this bit, turn it again. Okay, that's sealed on all sides now. So I'm just going to lift it out, pop it on a tray. Just give it a little massage there. So you want the seam to be poking down. Now I'm just going to take a meat probe, pop it in there, because I want to cook it to about 60-62. Now normally you cook pork to about 65 to 70 degrees, but I want it a little bit under in the middle so it's nice and tender. It will be very safe, no tapeworm here or anything like that. But look, by all means take it to well done if you want. This is going in the oven at 165 degrees, 170, depending on your oven, until it reaches that temperature. I'm guessing about 20 minutes. If you take the temperature down and do it slower, you'll get a more tender pork, but don't take it too far. So into the oven, and then I'll show you what we're going to do in the pan. I purposely cooked it in this pan so that I could make the sauce in there. So I'll pop this in the oven and we'll come back. Okay, so into the pan, we've still got the tiny bit of oil in there, and we've got some lovely bacon residue and pepper residue in that. So we're putting in some finely chopped shallots. That's 2 large shallots. But I suppose, what's that? 75, 100 grams. So we're just going to cook those off for about a minute. Okay, that's been about a minute. If you notice, I'm using a flat spoon so that I can really scrape up all that lovely bacon flavour. Don't worry about the little dark bits in there. That's all going to go into the sauce and dissolve. So now I'm putting in some crushed garlic. It's about a heaped teaspoon of garlic there. And we'll just stir that in. Again, we'll cook this out for about a minute. Okay, they've cooked out for about a minute. Now normally you'd put the mushrooms in and then add a bit of white wine. But because I'm using sherry, because I like the flavour of it, I'm going to put it in before the mushrooms, really burn it away, and then put the mushrooms in. It's a moisture thing, or me being weird, one or two. So, about, I don't know, a good tablespoon and a bit of dry sherry. Pop it in there, and we're going to wait until that completely dissolves away and you're back to the fat again. We're also banging in a couple of fresh bay leaves from the garden. Incidentally, the garlic and the shallots were grown by the good lady. She's a dab hand in the garden, the old wifey. There we go. So we'll just let that reduce. There we go. All the sherry's burnt away, and we're going to throw in the mushrooms. Just a punnet of chestnut mushrooms. We'll stir these until they all soften up. Let the water come out, let it boil away, and then we'll move on. There we go, the moisture came out, I've let it bubble away. Now I'm going to add about a pint of, I'm using demi glace, which is like a professional gravy if you like. But look, just make up a pint of your favourite gravy, pesto, whatever it is. Throw that in. And then I've got some San Marzano tomatoes, little tiny ones. We're just going to throw those in. A little bit of salt. Now we're going to let that cook out for about 10 minutes. Let those flavours combine. We don't add the tarragon until right till the end. But let's just let that simmer a bit. Okay, my pork's reached its 60 degrees or 62 degrees. What I'm going to do now is just take it out and we're going to put it on a plate and let it rest. And it's going to want to rest for a good sort of 5-10 minutes so that it's nice and tender when we eat it. You can see that. Right. In there you've got a load of meat juices and bacon fat and all yummy stuff. So just going to pop some water in there. Just sugar around, get all that flavour up. Not want to waste any. And then pop that into your sauce. Now the mushrooms are nice and soft now. Tomatoes are softening up. You can see you've got a nice glossy sauce going. At this point, I'm just going to add a little bit of grated nutmeg. If you don't like nutmeg, don't put it in. But I think the tarragon and the tomato really like the nutmeg. Don't let your sauce get too thick. If it starts to thicken too much, get a bit of water in there. You want it something like that. You want an eating sauce, drinking sauce, not an eating sauce. There we go. Now, into that, fresh from the garden, loads of chopped tarragon. Don't be shy on the tarragon, it's a huge flavour. That's probably, I don't know, 40-50 grams. A good handful of fresh tarragon. Fresh as you look, you can use dried, it's not going to be as good. It's got to be fresh, to be honest with you. And that is essentially it. So we're going to let that rest, let this sit, let the tarragon do its business on the mushrooms, and then we'll put it together. Now, incidentally, I'm serving this with a nice, really garlicky, fresh thymy dauphinoise. If you search through the website or the YouTube channel, you see a recipe for dauphinoise. Okay, now this is rested a little while. Again, we've got juices here into the sauce. Don't let anything go to waste. All we're going to do now is just carve the end off. That's for the chef. Now we're going to carve it up and serve it. So that'll take a minute. Just show you the carve. You don't want to do it, you can do it really thin and it'll be like, you know, wafer, and you won't need to chew it or anything, but it's nice to have a bit of body to it. Can you see how it's just that little bit pink? You probably can't with that camera angle, but there you go. You don't want to do this well done because it really spoils the pork. It is really safe to do it at this stage. You could even have it rarer than that, to be honest. But it's tender and lovely and woohoo. So I'm going to get this on the plate, put a bit of sauce on it, take a photograph and then dive in because I is hungry.